Sorry, my mic was muted. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Light 360 Live. We're coming to you from Chicago. Coming to you live on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Periscope. I hope you guys are having a great time. You're having a wonderful time. You're having a great day, whatever time region you are, whether you are at night or you are still in the afternoon like we are in Chicago. I just wanted to welcome you all to today's Light 360. So since the beginning of the week, we have been interviewing some powerful individuals, telling their stories, sharing what God is doing in their lives, and just inspiring all of us. And I'm always grateful to hear feedback from people who watched and how the stories of people have been impactful in their lives. So thank you, those of you that have been communicating your feedback on the Light 360. Really appreciate that. And thanks to all of you that have been joining us each day. So once again, I would like to reiterate what the purpose of Light 360 is. It's a very simple purpose, a very simple broadcast. We come very simply, no hair, nothing. We just talk about our lives. We share the stories of people, ordinary people like you and I. And they tell about how God is working in their lives, what God has been doing in their lives, and what He's doing now. We center it around our purpose on the earth. We center it around living by the principles of God. And in just sharing their stories, people can pick up something that can benefit them. So this is a production of the Life Development Center. The Light Development Center is a nonprofit here in the city of Chicago with a focus of raising the potentials of people and places. So our goal is to help people fulfill their destinies, release their potentials, and also to help places. And places have to do with cities, have to do with families, have to do with workplaces, have to do with nations, just helping places live to their full potentials as God has ordained them to live. So that's what the Life Development Center is about, and we have various ways that we do that. And one of the ways that we do that is through our leadership development, which the flagship program there is the Leading Lights training. So the Leading Lights training is a training that was established some years ago, and so far right now, thousands of people have already gone through it in about 12 nations now, including right here in Chicago in the United States. Actually started here in the United States. So the training is an intensive. It has several modules, and in each of the modules takes people through different aspects of maximizing their lives. The first one is the discovery module. And then we move to life management. Then we talk about leadership. We talk about entrepreneurship, followership. We talk about character. So we have different modules like that for the different aspects of purpose. So a lot of people go through it and they come out of it, and either they discover their purpose if they don't know it before, or if they knew something, they had some ideas about it. It gets very organized, put together after they go through it. We actually help you to develop a mission statement for your life. We help you identify your values in life. We help you identify your spheres of influence. We help you to identify the next steps that you need to take in life. So if you are someone watching right now and you are at that point where you just want to know what your life is all about, the Leading Lights training is for you. So you can reach out to us at info@thelifedevelopmentcenter.org, info@thelifedevelopmentcenter.org for more information about being a part of the Leading Lights training. We'll be glad to We'll be glad to have you join us. We're putting together some virtual trainings. Also, we are beginning to look at, having our physical on-ground trainings also, just, putting some thoughts into that. But it's something that, you should do if you have not done it. It's for you, and you can never remain the same. So people that have been coming on this show are mostly 99.something% people that have gone through the Leading Lights training. So, and then they come and then we share what they're doing and what God is doing in their lives. So that's how Light 360 came about. So today I have a guest that is going to be joining us. I'm actually waiting for the guest to join the studio. She was in the studio earlier, but she got she went off and she's trying to get on right now. So immediately she gets on, I'll bring her on immediately. But while we wait for her, I will just continue to chat with you guys until she shows up. Not too far from now. I'm sure she's trying to get on. So it would be great if I could hear from you, those of you that are watching, where you are watching from. Post it in the comments. I'd like to know. I see Smart Godwin. Smart Godwin. Let me know where you are watching from. Just post it in there where you are watching from, and all the other people watching too. Will be great to know where you guys are watching. And I'm glad that Betsy is now in. So I'll be bringing her in right now. Our guest for today. I gave away her name. I was trying to keep her name, until she comes in. But where she's right in the studio now and backstage. So I'll be bringing her in very shortly. But great. Please let me know where you're watching from. That would be awesome to see that from some of you. All right. Oh yeah, watching from Ogun State, Ijebu-Ode, Nigeria. Wow, awesome. That's a long way from Chicago. Yeah, but I know Ijebu-Ode. I know Ogun State. My mom is from Ogun State. And then I see Precious Musonda is watching from Zambia. Hello, Precious. Good to see you join us. Thank you for joining us. So excited to see you guys. Thank you. All right. So while others, please, let us know where you are watching from. That's great. We're going to go right ahead into our discussion. So the person that I'm about to introduce to you right now is, thank you. That's Jephthah is watching from Zambia too, right? See, it looks like we have some Zambians, today. Okay, awesome. All right, from Lusaka, so another city in Zambia. All right, guys, thank you, everybody. Keep posting that. So the person that I'm about to bring up today is another person that I've known for a long time. I'm blessed. I just thank God, that I'm so blessed that I have long-term friendships and relationships. They are not just short. You meet 1 year and then it's off. But relationships that have lasted over decades and sometimes many decades. So this is another person that I have known now for about 16 years. 2004, 2005. That's like 15, 16 years that I have known her. And, life has advanced, in 15 years. So many things have happened. Around that time, I think I just had my first child. Then my wife and I, we just had Jessie, our first child, when I met. And interestingly, she happens to have the same birthday as Jessie, our first child, and then that's when we met. So many things have happened. She was single and now she's married. She has, a kid and all that. So life has moved on. But one thing has remained constant, and that's the covenant relationship that God established then. And I'm so glad to have her. She was one of the founding members of the City Light Church. In fact, there was a time I remember that there were two people in service, so I think she was one of the other person that was in service. And then she's also a part of the Leading Light Network. She's taking the Leading Lights training. Well, let me welcome to the Light 360 live today, Betsy Victor.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, good to have you on.
Yes, thank you, Pastor Lan. And it's exciting to be here. Just can't realize it's been 15 years. I know. And you look the same. I feel I have aged, but you look the same.
No, you have not aged. Yeah, if anybody tells you that you have aged, they are not telling you the truth. Look, you look as young as you look to be. Of course, you are a mom now,
Yes, yes.
Mom, so that's, but, thank you. So people are welcoming you. Got somebody from Nigeria welcoming you.
Oh, fantastic. Hello, everyone I heard from Nigeria, from Zambia.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Nice to,
to see
not
everyone.
See, but yeah, exactly. Say hello to everyone. So,
okay, so let's get into our discussion for today. So, who is Betsy?
So it's interesting. So I see myself have. So if someone asks me who's Betsy, I definitely say I'm definitely someone who is passionate about what I do. Whether it's work or any project that I take up on. I love to learn, so I'm constantly learning, and this is one of the reasons I tend to gravitate towards new innovations or working on something new all the time, just because this curiosity in me has always existed since the time I was a kid. Someone who loves to learn and continues to learn, and could be about anything, any topic, but in general, technology and innovation, and some of the topics about marketing really interests me. I'm a mom, like you said, and I'm a new mom. I have a daughter who is almost 2, and it's definitely one of some.
2.
Yeah, time flies by.
I've not seen her.
Yes, you haven't seen her and blessed her. You definitely need to. I've been asking you, Pastor Lan. You need to see her and bless her. Yes.
Happen,
Yes, exactly. So she's almost going to be 2, and she's definitely changed our lives. She is our boss now, and she pretty much runs the show, or our lives revolve around her. And I'm also someone who's a traveler. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy, I've been blessed to travel to about 20 countries globally now.
Wow.
Yeah, but unfortunately, yes, but unfortunately not yet Africa. So I'm looking forward to coming to Africa someday, and that's definitely on my to-do list.
Yeah, you need to come with us for one of the Leading Lights trips to Africa.
Oh, I would love that. That would be a blessing. I know when you took one of your trips, I think it was to Uganda. I saw those pictures and I thought to myself, wow, it would have been such a great blessing and a learning experience for me, So just seeing, and especially personally for me, I have a lot of diverse friends from around the world. And as you know, I have a lot of Nigerian and Kenyan friends, and friends from Zimbabwe, and but a lot of Nigerian friends. So know jollof rice very well and love it too. So I've been blessed with that. So I think that's something, I'd love to travel. That's something I enjoy doing. And for folks who know me, they know I'm a news junkie and I love to read. Definitely, Pastor Lan, not as much as you do. Now I don't have time. So I try to sneak in my reading during like any free moment I can get. and also doing a lot of listening in, because now, sitting down, time to sit down is very rare, managing a work life, that trying to balance work life and personal life, and the new norm in COVID, during COVID, and being a new mom. So there's a lot of things that are going on. But I am also someone who um, you know who um, who loves to create new things too. And one of my mission in life is to start my own business, God willingly. And so that's definitely has been a dream for a really long time, and one day plan to pursue my dream and take that risk and the leap of faith, right? So yeah, so this is really who I am. I am someone who loves to meet new people and try new food. So I'm definitely I love different cultural foods and cuisines. Not afraid to try anything at all. So I've to people's surprise, I have eaten frog, frog
What?
legs. I mean, yes, um, to ant eggs, to, of course, alligator in,
Wow.
so I mean, so I'm definitely very adventurous in that sense, and I'm also very respectful of different cultures, because I know that in certain cultures that's their source of food, or that's their protein source. So I
Yeah.
very much respect that. And the fact of the matter is, when we think about it from the terms of staying in the US and looking at it, we feel, oh my God, that probably might not taste good. But when they make it in the local cultural way, it tastes really good. So yeah, so that's in short, I would say, who I am.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I'm tempted to ask you, how does frog taste when you eat
You
it?
know, yeah, so the frog takes very much frog legs. They taste very much like chicken. Just the fact that they're more bony, so it's not meaty like chicken, but they're more bonier. But it's then again, it's how they cook it. So it's yeah,
Wow, awesome. So you are from India originally, right?
yes.
Okay. Did you move to the US or were you born in the US? Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually moved to the U.S. So I was born in India. My early young days were in. So my family comes from the southern part of India. That's called Kerala. That's where my family comes from. But my younger years were all in Mumbai.
Okay.
So that's really, that's where. Yeah, so my younger years were in Mumbai, previously called as Bombay, and normally I like to call it Bombay,
Uh-huh.
because when I left, it was still Bombay. So yeah, so and then my family moved to Chicago, and Chicago has been a home for over 20 years now. Although I have lived in different parts of the U.S., as you know, but Chicago is my home, and I consider Chicago my home. So,
Awesome. Awesome. See, they like you being honest and transparent, you know.
why? Who said
I like they said I like how honest
that?
and transparent, you know. So how did you develop that love of diversity?
Yes.
You know, it looks like that's a major value of yours: diversity, people, food, travel, and all that. How did you develop that love?
Yeah, so that's a good point. I will say, growing up in, my early years in Bombay as a kid is partly one reason. Because growing up in Bombay is a very cosmopolitan city with millions of people. And we were Christians, by the way. My family is a Christian family. Although I
Mhm,
know when people think about India, they think it's predominantly people are Hindus. But
mhm,
the fact of the matter is, Christian, there are a small percentage of Christians in India, and we're definitely a minority.
mhm,
The largest population is of Hindus, followed by Muslims. But because I lived in a cosmopolitan city, I really was surrounded by friends, at a very young age, who were, although they were all Indians from different parts of India, they
Mhm.
also were from different. They were diverse in terms of their religious beliefs.
Mhm.
So we had, people who were Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs. Sikhs, that's also another religion, and
Mhm.
uh, and also people who spoke different languages. So one thing,
Mhm.
you people, if you don't know India well, unlike most other countries around the world, there's one country has so many different languages and dialects, right? So the language that what is spoken in my home is not the national language, which is Hindi. The Indian national language is Hindi, and like like my parents speak Malayalam, so it's very different, and it's also the your so it's very different in terms of the origin of these languages and stuff. So
Mhm.
so Bombay, similar to Chicago, is also a large cosmopolitan city, and it's also a melting pot.
Mhm.
That's one reason. The second reason, so I grew up at a very young age respecting different religions and celebrating different religions, and also having friends from different religions. So
Mhm.
this is one of the reasons. If even now, when you look at my friend circle, they are of different from all over the world.
Mhm.
So parties in our house is very diverse. From I have friends who are Singaporean, Mexican, Nigerian, Pascal and some of my close Nigerian friends,
Yeah. Mhm.
Chinese, Korean, some of my family members who are married Korean or Chinese. So we're very diverse in that nature, and also Europeans too. We're very diverse in that nature, and I think it's also the Christian value, right? And I think this is really the Christian value of knowing that we all are created in God's image, and although we look different, we speak
Mhm.
different, our values are different, and
Mhm.
sometimes what we believe might be different, but ultimately we were created in God's image, right? And
Yeah.
then coming from that background, and then I think that's something that my mom had instilled. She's really a strong woman of God, and
Mhm.
she's strong. She's she's a strong Christian, and so that's a value she had instilled in us, is to look at people for who they are,
Mhm.
and learn to embrace that diversity. And
Mhm.
then coming to Chicago, that's another cosmopolitan
Yep.
city,
Yep. Mhm.
with people from different backgrounds, and I think that also has helped. That also has helped into now seeing people from different countries and cultures, and coming from so many different type of beautiful cuisines.
Mhm.
So I think that broadened my horizon about how different and how beautiful this world is.
Mhm.
And I also was one of those kids who loved that. I don't know if you remember the Coca-Cola commercial. I don't know if it's like the 80s or 90s.
Be the one with the
That's
songs. One with the
sorry.
song like that. Uh,
It was. It was about everyone comes from a different background. I'm trying to
I remember
but
the one that says "We are the future of the world."
yes, yes, and you had all the people in different, from
Yeah.
different countries,
Uh-huh.
and I used to love that. That was one of my favorite ads,
Yeah. I
and
like.
I still love watching it as
I
a
still know
kid.
that song. It still comes to my mind. That part.
Yeah.
We are the future of the world. We are
Yes.
tomorrow's people. We are the
Yeah.
generation. Yeah. So, mhm.
And then everyone holding hands together.
Yeah.
So to me, that always was super beautiful, and that was very attractive to me as a young kid. And I also grew up in a family that loved to watch the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing all the different people from all over the world participate in the Olympics was really
Yeah.
great way to see how
Mm.
beautiful this world is and how talented the people are around this
Uh,
world. So I think those are some of the reasons
mm.
why this natural sense to embrace diversity and
Yeah.
inclusion became part of who I am. The one key thing I do want to say, though, Kerala, where the state that my family comes from,
Mhm.
it's actually very well known. So in India, in recent past decade or so, there's been a lot of religious turmoil that has happened, but that state has been very successful historically in respecting people's religious values
Mhm.
and giving people equal status in society.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons that Christians in Kerala have been very successful, because
Mm.
although we were minorities in that particular state, we got equal opportunity that allowed us to shine. So
Yeah.
we have people in Kerala who are from you have neighbors who are Christians and Hindus and Muslims, and they all get along very well, and then that's really a strong part of that state, and that's why religious violence have uh,
Mhm.
pretty much been non-existent or very minimal, and even if it has existed, has been more politically motivated
Yeah.
compared to how the people are in their thinking. So
Mm.
that's something I do want to give kudos to that state,
Mhm.
just because how they've done a very good job in ensuring equity, at
Yeah.
least religious equity. So.
You see, and that's one of the things that I believe is missing in our world right now. I
Mhm,
also grew up in a very diverse culture with different religions. We had mosque on our streets. I
mhm,
had all the, prayer calls in the morning. But I still know some of those things. They said till now, they still come to me. I had Muslim friends. I had all kinds of friends. We all grew up together and all that. Of course, I believe in Jesus Christ. I've received
yes.
it. I believe he's the way, but I don't push it on people. I share my faith. And
Mhm,
if it ministers to them and they accept him, great. But I don't look down people based on their religion or fight people based on that. Now, you experienced, being a minority, like Christianity
mhm,
minority where you were born, right?
mhm,
So
mhm,
when you see other minority religions, like in the US, you will have some
mhm.
understanding for them. People
Yes.
need to be able to practice whatever they believe.
Yes.
Right? And if you believe that what you have is the answer, then convince them, right?
Mhm,
Preach, convince them, but don't force anybody to do anything. Live and let live. So that's how I grew up too, right? I believe
mhm,
Jesus, is the way and everything, but I share him, but I don't force him. And I'm friends. Even now, I'm friends with people of different cultures, different religions, and all that. I'm going to stand and say who I am and what I believe,
exactly.
but I'm not going to, I'm not going to look down on you or say you are less than I am because you are not, because you are not, you don't believe exactly the same thing that I believe. So that's a really, really great value that I think is very much needed in our world. And we'll talk more about it as we move on some of the things that you do. But I wanted to ask you about your relationship with God. How did it evolve? I know you were born in
Mhm.
a Christian home, but usually they tell me that those who were born in a Christian home, they it's later that they now know the value of it or have a personal relationship with God. How did that happen to you, to your personal relationship with Christ?
Sure, that's a fair point. So, I was born in a Christian home, but my mom was very strong Christian, but my dad wasn't.
Okay.
So it was so it was sort of a mixed home. So it was technically a Christian home where we had to go to church, but my
Mhm.
mom was someone who was very religious about reading the Bible, praying in the morning, praying in the evening, praying before lunch. But my
Mhm.
dad was not really keen on these things.
Mhm.
So I think so. It was a little bit mixed, in that sense. But I guess my mom has been such a strong force for me personally in my life that that became very important to me.
Mhm.
Um, the other reason I would say is I actually, I had a very good Sunday school teacher, to be honest. Like, early on at a very young age, I had a very good Sunday school teacher and a very good Sunday school where I was able to learn the Bible well. And I feel like and sort of grow in the word. It was a very good Sunday school family that existed at a very young age, so that was some of the reasons why. The other thing I guess, I feel like sometimes when you're a minority in a place, you are more willing to fight for your religion
Mm.
than, or stand up for it, than when it's sort of so easy or free. So I
You
felt
value
like,
it more.
yes, you
Mhm.
value it more because there's so many times, although
Yeah.
I had fantastic friends who were Hindus or Muslims, and even Zoroastrian. Zoroastrian is
Mhm.
a community in India. In well, actually, I mean, it's actually they originated from Iran,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of times I had to stand up for my beliefs,
Mhm.
because my beliefs did not resonate with the larger population.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, there's a lot of ignorance that exists in the world, and there's a lot of ignorant people that exist in the world. So as a young age, I've been questioned, why don't you celebrate Diwali, which is a big Hindu festival? Or why are you a Christian? Because it's very unique. And I don't know, as a kid, I never knew why I was a Christian. Just the fact that my parents were Christian, so I was a Christian. So it was some of those things, and I remember having a teacher at a young age who challenged me, as about Christianity in a class full of students.
Mhm.
And this was at a very young age when, the good thing, that by God's grace, I've always been someone who's been very bold. And this is something that I've carried on, someone who's not afraid to speak their mind.
Mhm.
Yes, there are times when I can be diplomatic, and there are times when I can be straightforward, but someone who's not afraid. And this is something that my mom taught me at a young age, that the only person you fear is you fear God. You
Mhm.
don't need to fear anyone if you haven't done anything wrong
Yeah.
in life, or if you haven't, done anything. You don't need to fear anyone, but, and I think this is part of who I am. And I've but So I remember being challenged in a class. Now I remember I was really young, and someone asked me, uh, you know, um, we were talking about different religions, and talking about Christmas, and somehow I think I might have been one of the few,
Mhm.
students in that class, and I was asked, what I believed in. And I was also one of those good students, so that teachers would pick on, who used to be, you call them the class monitor, who tends to be a teacher's pet. But anyways, because I was one of
Mhm.
those kids who loved to excel in my education, and
Mhm.
also, was good, and was also very dedicated to studies. I love studies.
Mhm.
And so I was also one of those people that people like to challenge. And I also, because I was so bold and not afraid to speak my mind at a young age, people would pick on me in terms of when I say,
Mhm.
when there are some arguments to be made. And anyways, that day I got picked on, and one of the arguments was, why do you believe in Jesus? You say so I said, hey, look, we believe that, Jesus came 2000 years ago. Well, this was before it was 2000, right? I was a little kid. This was before. It's like 2000 has not even happened yet. So how do you believe that Jesus came in 2000? And you know what? And that was a good question. And I was really caught off mine. And that made me think more. And yeah, well, I said, well, I don't know the answer. And hey, I'm a kid, and the teacher is challenging me. So I just said, well, I don't know. This is what I've been taught.
Mhm.
But the good thing was that made me think and read more. So
Mhm.
sometimes I feel like you don't have the answers, but the curiosity in me made me go and find out where does this 2000 years ago, is it just, and that's when I realized it's more rounded up,
Mhm.
because you can remember precisely the number of years, so you sort of round it up. But at that time when you're a kid, you just don't know. You just you sometimes repeat what your parents say, or your Sunday school teacher say, or your uncle and aunt or your cousin says, right? So
Mhm.
that's really, I would say, so felt like one of the reasons, my faith has been important to me, was because of the fact that I was a minority,
Mhm.
and I felt the need. And but I will also say, um, this concept of God being a good father, that's something that really attracted me to Jesus, and also the fact that Jesus was didn't I, to me the curiosity was like whenever I see a picture of Jesus, and it's he's not, we call him the King of Kings, but I've never seen him wear a robe. I mean, I don't know, in none of the pictures I always see him wear torn clothes. So I think some of these things, and also like by that time I'd watched there was the movie about the Bible. I've never seen persecution like this. Like, and I guess some of those videos really made me cry and like, feel more, I guess, faith towards God. And then also a lot of stories, from my grandmother and from my aunts, about like how, what God has done for us, and how prayers have been answered. So those were very encouraging for me, to in terms of
You did you go through
continuing.
a period when you doubted your faith? Being surrounded by all those religions and all that. Did you go through a period like that?
Absolutely. So I feel like, this is when I was in college. This was during my IIT years. So these are like teenage years,
Mm-hmm.
when there were things, my college years were one of the best years. I loved it. I look back, I relish, I had great group of friends, I had great professors, and even sometimes if I didn't have good professor, I didn't care. I was very active in college. And so those days were one of the best, and I met some of my closest friends are from my university days, and
Mm-hmm.
actually I met my husband there too. So,
Wow.
but yeah, but
No,
we
I didn't
didn't
know
date
that.
then.
You knew afterwards. Oh, sorry, you got married afterward, but you already met at IIT before.
um, yeah. So Tim was a senior, 1 year senior from
Oh, okay,
me. So
yeah,
yeah, but we did not date in college. So I just want to make it very crystal clear.
yeah. That's
We
what
were
I.
yeah, exactly. So we were part of the same friend circle, and he was 1 year senior to me. So he had one class with me. That's really where, and so, and then yeah. So anyways, sorry, I digress, but. To your question, I tested my faith. Yes, I did, and this was during my university days. There was a period. There was one semester that was super hard for me, and and I was someone who the word that says ask and it shall be given to you, and I kept on asking and asking and asking, and it wasn't given to me, and I was really mad at God. And then I went on this soul searching mission. So I went to a Catholic church. And then, by the way, I forgot to mention, I actually was born into Syrian Orthodox Christian family.
Okay.
It's sort of like an Eastern Orthodox, and so
Mm-hmm.
the way we worship is very different. So, anyways, I went into this journey of questioning if God exists, and I think it's also because when you're in university, you take a lot of liberal arts classes. That
Mm-hmm.
makes you ponder and think. And I think things that were going in my life at that time, I went on a journey to find the right religion. So I did go to a non-denominational church.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a Catholic church. So every Sunday I would, every Sunday I would find a reason to try something new. I went to a Hindu temple.
Mm-hmm.
I also tried a mosque. The only thing was mosque I was not allowed to get in. But so I guess they can sort of figure it out. You just don't belong there. So but anyways, but I have gone into a mosque. I've gone into a mosque later on in my life. I've gone into a mosque, and going to a temple. There, I've gone to a temple many, many times. But so I did go in this, and I also went to the Baha'i temple. The Baha'i temple.
Yeah,
So
I did all of that. What you're talking about, but I was not, in Chicago. I did it, but I was doing research. I was in Bible
okay.
school, so I had to go to the Hindu temple. I had to go to the mosque. I had to go to the Baha'i. I had to go to Buddhist temple
Oh
and
yes.
participate. but I was doing research. It was a course on world religion, which was very,
Oh.
I mean, of course, the Muslim part, I've been part of that, from Nigeria. I knew a lot about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, going in the United States to the mosque. I talked to the imam. He gave me the Quran. And he didn't know I was a pastor, but I just told him I was doing research. I was a Bible student, doing research. We participated in all the worship. I was there for the Hindu worship, all the different gods and all that. I was taking the notes, but it was basically how can we reach,
Mm-hmm.
like reaching people by knowing what they truly believe. That was what that exercise was about. Yeah, so go ahead.
Right. So I did go into this journey of challenging. I mean, I shouldn't say challenging, but I guess it was challenging God, and trying different faiths and learning about different faiths. And to your point, Pastor Lan, I actually have a Quran in my house. I have a menorah from Israel. When I went to Israel, I brought a menorah, and of course, the Bible is just part of who I am. But and I think these things are important because I feel like when you know about different religions, you're in a better position to, just to know whether you are walking the right religion,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So I did also go in this exploratory phase. I did not go to a Buddhist temple, but I did study Buddhism a little bit just to understand what Buddhism was believed in, and also the Baha'i temple was very beautiful. But ultimately, I ended up, went in a circle and landed from where I started. So I think, so I ended up started actually going to a non-denominational church after that. Because I just, I like I said, I grew up in a Syrian Orthodox family,
Mhm.
and then when and in between I was going to a non-denominational. I don't know if it's Methodist or,
Yeah.
but anyways, it was a Protestant church. And
Yeah.
then once I went on this search, a quest to find the right religion or right faith for me,
Mhm.
because the thing is, like, when you're in university, you live by yourself.
Yeah.
You're not constrained by your parents
Yeah.
imposing any views, ideas, and you're
Mhm.
surrounded by people who believe in different things. And I
Yeah.
felt like, and because of what you're going through, that really gave me an opportunity to try different things, and go to different places and explore things.
One of the things I learned when I was doing all that. So, as Christians, we usually tell people, you must be born again. You must be born again. You know what I discovered? I discovered that for the Hindu, what they don't really want is being
Hmm.
born again. There's reincarnation, right?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Keep
Yeah.
coming back, keep coming back. But really,
Hmm.
Buddhists, you want to go into nirvana, you want to get to that point where you become one of the ascended ones or live. So
Right.
being born again and being born again is something everybody is fighting against, literally. So
Right.
Christians, you tell them you must be born again. You're actually telling them something that is totally contrary to what the desire is. So I learned,
Yeah.
okay,
Fair.
wow, there's a better way to present that, for them to
Yes.
understand it. Yeah. So just some things I learned through my exploration and talking to people from different religions. And that helps me now. I can talk to anybody from any religion. I have books in my house that study all these religions, what they believe, what we have in
Right.
common, the Abrahamic religions and all that, like
Right.
Muslim, Christian, the Jews. There are some places we can start from and take it from there. So it's good. I mean, it's a good thing that you went through and then you settled on this is what I believe.
Right.
Yeah, which is awesome. So that shortly after you left college, that's when we met. How did you get into City Light? Was that?
So you know what? That's a good point. I think I honestly don't know how I got engaged with City Light. I felt like I had some Nigerian friends, and at that time, and they're still my very good friends, some of my closest friends, and someone invited me, and I was one of those
Mark
people.
or Ronti. I think it's Mark or Ronti or
It
so.
was Mark and Ronti, yeah. It was
Like,
primarily Mark, and Mark at that time, he was such a, I honestly thought he's going to go into full-time evangelism. I'm really surprised he hasn't yet, because maybe someone needs to tell him that's his true calling. But he was the one who sort of, uh, pushed me into coming to City Light, because he would ask. I mean, and knowing Mark, he's very direct, right? He's like, "What are you afraid of?" "Well, I'm not afraid of it." "Then why don't you come?" Right? "Okay, fine, I'll come." So he was sort of in, "Hi, Mark, I'm not. I don't know if you're listening," but so it was one of those things where, yeah, it was after university, it was still some same friend circle. And it was definitely something that, it was a time when I feel like you're sort of, you're done with your undergrad, and you're working at that time. I was working. And you hang out with friends during the weekend, and you talk about different topics. And that's really how I ended up coming to City Light. And for me, like I said, like, I was always up to trying new things. And also, for me, I never was constrained by, oh, I need to go to an Indian church or an American church or a diverse church. I just need to go to a church. In my opinion, God is the same everywhere. It's just one God be prayed to. So that's sort of how I, started. And then I think another thing I attracted about you, Pastor, and Pastor Debo especially. I love Pastor Debo. I don't know if she's listening, but it's just, you didn't care my background. You were super excited that I was willing to help, and you were,
And you were
and you
so
were.
happy then. I remember those days in the early days of City Light. You would drive all the way from Chicago to Zion. That's
Yes.
almost an hour. And you would come and help, with so many things then. I remember the first year anniversary of City Light. I don't know if you remember the drama you did. You acted a show.
Oh my God, yes. So that's, yes, I did. You're right. I do remember that. Yes, exactly. So these are some of the things I like to do for fun on the side. Yeah. So, and then it was also a good group of people. People who respected each other, people who were, who had strong mission, and so yeah, definitely, definitely. And everyone was so passionate. I remember, I personally felt, honestly, like, I feel like you're giving me too much credit. I didn't do much. During the weekends, once in a while, I would help you, but that doesn't. I remember Pastor Omo and even Ranti and Mark used to spend so much time, more than I did. So I think you're giving me too much credit, Pastor Lan. I don't deserve that credit. I mean,
Well,
there are other people who did more work.
we were so, I mean, it was a bit painful then when you had to move to Minnesota or so for
Oh, yes.
work, like, oh,
Yeah.
Betsy's going, and all that. I remember
Yeah.
then, but, we missed you. So, but then, I remember when you got married, there's this tidbit you told me, very interesting. When you were going to get married in India, you said in India, it's the women that pay the price or something like that.
Oh.
Hell yeah. I was like, wow, you could tell that to some Nigerian guys. Tell us about that.
Okay, so that's a good point. Okay, so this is a bit of touchy topic, of course. Dowry, right? So the thing I never understood. So this was a joke between the African friends of mine and the Indian friends. In Indian culture, the woman's family gives dowry to the guy, and the more educated the woman is, the more educated the guy is, your dowry increases. So it's not that, oh yeah, your parents spend so much money on your education, you're so accomplished, you give less, so that amount goes down. No, it actually increases. And then when I heard about the African culture, where the women's family gets dowry, I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, what? And my African and I remember having this discussion with my Nigerian friends, especially, and they were like, "Wait a second, wait." The men get dowry, so that's what they're like. Maybe I should marry an Indian woman. So, but I will say, so dowry is actually something that it's something that existed. It's definitely not. It's looked down on. Because you can't put a price on a woman or a man.
Yeah.
But you're spot on, Pastor Lan. In the Indian culture, unfortunately, the women's family have to give the man dowry and their daughter, who they spend
And then
educating.
you have to change your name again to the guy's name.
Exactly. So this is why,
That's not fair.
by the way, this is why, by the way, I have kept my own last name. So I haven't taken my husband. And I know you referred to me with my husband's last name. I've kept my maiden name, because
Okay.
you're right. It's like, how do you give away everything, right? Then what are you left with? So yeah, but it's really unfortunate, but it's sort of but it was enlightening to me, because I did not know in the African culture
Yeah.
the boys side gives a dowry to the girl
It's
side.
actually
So
the other way, the African culture. The man pays, the man does all that. Yeah. So yeah, but it was interesting for me to know. You were the one that told me then. I didn't know about I didn't know India was, like that. So that's fun. So let's fast forward a little bit. Purpose, like working in your purpose on earth, right? You've been on that journey. You met God. You've been following God. Had that time in college and all that. How has that been? What do you believe it's your purpose on this earth? As far as you have discovered it, you might not know everything. And I know you did a Leading Lights training too. You could talk about that too. Yeah. Hmm.
sure. So so this is something, a journey that I'm really on. I will say that I'm giving the best in the situation that God has given me, and I'm trying to do the best, work as hard as I can, and do the best, always coming up with the A game.
Hmm.
Like some like to say, um, if you ask me, am I still living the purpose that God has created for me? I don't know, to be honest.
Hmm.
But I do plan to get there, very soon. But I feel that as a life, as you continue on, it's all God puts you in different seasons in life, and every season He puts you in a different purpose. So
Hmm.
there have been certain seasons in my life that have been fantastic, and that time I felt my purpose was different,
Hmm.
compared to certain seasons that were very hard on me. And that time my purpose was different, right? So I feel it's a little bit more fluid, but I also feel that if you ask me, have you fully discovered the purpose you're sent in this world for, I will say I'm still in that journey. I haven't come to a place where I can say affirmatively that
Hmm.
this is what my purpose in life is. But I do have some very strong passions,
Yep.
and maybe that passion is a purpose.
Yes.
But I do believe in equality. I do believe in gender equality, racial equality. I do believe in women's rights, especially the rights of people who are the most marginalized.
Hmm.
I do believe in children's rights, because they are the most, um, how do I say it? The
Are the most vulnerable, basically.
vulnerable, exactly. And unless you advocate for them, no one else will. And especially now that I'm a mom, and a mom of a baby girl, I want to make sure that she grows up in a world that is more equitable,
Yeah.
that where her dreams can materialize,
Hmm.
where a culture is based on meritocracy, and not based on how you look like, what
Hmm.
language you speak, what is your background, what you believe in,
Hmm.
or who you know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's, so I believe in having more of a meritocracy based society. And I think that's something that is my passion and
Mhm.
my purpose, maybe,
Okay. Yeah.
that I want to create a society that's more equal.
Okay. So let's backtrack a bit. So in the Leading Lights training, we talk
Mhm.
about your shape, Like if you want to know what you've been called to do, we say God shapes you for that purpose. So we use the acronym SHAPE. So you just talked a little bit about that. So we say S is your spiritual gift, H is your heart or your passions, A, your abilities, that's your natural talents and all that. And then we say P, your personality, and E, your experiences. So in the Leading Lights training, people talk about all that. We spend days together, and then we now put all that together. As people talk about that about themselves, we put it together into a mission statement for life. So let's start with your passions, because your passion, it's a pointer to your purpose. And then I want to just talk about two of them today. The first one is your passion, and the second one is your experiences, right? We have already talked about some of your experiences. So, you're being born in India, coming to Chicago, diverse community, what you went through in college. So that experience points to the fact that there's something about your life that has to do with dealing with diverse people. Your travel to the different nations and all that, what is called you to do will involve you interacting with people from different cultures. So that point, to that. And we're going to talk about one of your experiences, you're becoming a mother in a moment. But let's talk about, what was the first one I mentioned? The SHAPE. I think I said, your passions. Yeah, your passions. So you are an engineer, right? Electronics engineer, I believe.
Electrical, yeah. It's close enough.
Electrical engineer, yeah. So that's my my undergrad, right? Electrical and electronics. So we have something in common. That means you must be somebody who likes details, like
and technology. So I love
so you're passionate about technology. You are passionate about marketing, right? Like marketing. And then you talked about justice, diversity, women, and all that. So just tell me a little bit, what do you see? What role do you see technology playing? Right.
Yeah, fair.
Let's start with technology. Technology playing in the plans of God right now in our days, like God's kingdom and all that. From your perspective, as somebody who has worked in the tech industry and all that, what are some roles you think it plays, especially in your own life? What you have found?
Sorry, Pastor, I didn't quite get the catch.
Talk about tech. Like tech and the kingdom of God, right?
Okay, fair.
Your perspective as somebody who has worked in tech, extensively and who loves tech, right?
Sure. So so like you said, I have a bachelor's in electrical engineering, and I did my MBA from Duke University. I'm hoping I'm answering your question correctly, but naturally I've gravitated towards new innovation. New innovations have made me super excited and curious. In my personal opinion, I feel that we haven't taken full advantage of technology to accelerate God's kingdom.
That's what I want to talk about.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I just wasn't sure if that's really where you were. Okay, sure. I feel that we have it because there's a lot of I
need to make a quick programming note. For those of you watching us on Instagram, we're going to be kicked off Instagram in a moment because we're touching our 1 hour mark. We still have a few moments, so you can join us on Facebook, facebook.com/pastorlan or /pastorlan2, or join us on Twitter or Periscope or my YouTube channel. You can join us, but Instagram is going to go now. But we're still on. We still have about 15 or more minutes to discuss. So please, once we go off Instagram, join us on the other places. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I feel like, and I don't know, I don't know why, maybe because, I feel, look, and this is just my personal perspective, maybe a lot of people who are in tech have not gone full time into God's mission. Maybe that's one of the reasons that there's not been disruptive innovation that has happened in tech, or we haven't maximized technology to spread God's word. However, when I think about the kind of technology, like what you're doing right now, right, Pascaline?
Mhm.
You're leveraging Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and all the media that's out there, that's the tech that's out there,
Mhm.
to spread a certain message, to
Yeah.
spread God's word, right?
Mhm.
So I feel that the technology innovation,
Mhm.
uh, there are people who have leveraged technology innovation
Mhm.
to get to the furthest places possible, because this would not have been possible 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But there are people who can listen to us live, irrespective of where we are.
Mhm.
And this message, God's message, I should say, can get to the furthest people, and the tech that makes it happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the technology can also be used against God's work, and
Yeah.
it's becoming more easier to do that as well, right? So I feel like as Christians, it's really important to be cognizant
Mhm.
and fully aware of what you share, because that could be used against you.
Yeah.
And so this is why I feel like it's a responsibility for us
Mhm.
to use the technology to spread God's
Mhm.
message to as far as possible, but also be mindful
Mhm.
how we do it, and do it in the right way,
Mhm.
without disrespecting any other religion,
Mhm.
because you or creating enemies, to be honest. So I think that's really important.
Mhm.
Just being mindful of how you do it. I also see that there is a lot of room to disrupt, have more innovative technology,
Mhm.
to spread God's kingdom, and maybe we haven't seen much happen. I don't
Mhm.
know the reason to that. I have my own opinion about it,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
yeah.
Very good. Thank you. What do you think? What role do you think you can play in that? Is it to educate people, or especially in that tech area?
Yeah, so that's a good point. I have to think about that a little bit more, as to how I can contribute to that mission, whether it's launching new innovations, or I just don't know the answer to that, Pastor, and maybe
Okay.
that's an answer I need to think a little bit more before responding to. So.
Yes, I know that you want your other passion, justice and all that. You are
Mhm.
involved in certain things, like you are involved with an organization in India, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Talk a bit about that.
Yeah,
Justice.
so it's a good point. So I will go back to something you mentioned about leading lights, right?
Mhm.
So I did attend the leading light training in December 2017, a
Mhm.
long time ago, but at least feels like it. But um, one of the things that I felt, I had to write down. Sometimes when you write down things, it's sort of an affirmation. So I
Mhm.
knew in me there was this calling to stand for women's rights and rights of children, but I just never actively pursued it, except like verbalizing it, and being leading, or trying to lead, different, chairing diversity and inclusion council in the companies I worked at, or something along the line.
Yeah.
But after that, doing that, that's something I had written down as something I should. What
Mhm.
happened? Sometimes we say it's how God puts people together.
Mhm.
Um, in March 2018, somehow I met this person who leads Justice and Hope. It's a non-for-profit
Mhm.
in India, in Chennai, India, which is the southern part of India, that advocates for women and children's rights, especially it's the women and children who were former sex slaves,
Mhm.
and then they provide them home and shelter, and make sure that they can restart normalcy in their lives. And some of the people who started that non-for-profit, actually, this person called Pranita Timothy, I
Mhm.
remember listening to her message in Willow Creek GLS
Mhm.
I think it was in 2012 or 2013. She had come to talk there. So I
Mhm.
remember hearing her story then, and I remember thinking to myself, man, it would have been awesome to connect with her.
Mhm.
And fast forward few years later, I find out that my husband's uncle is actually friends with her. I
Wow.
had no idea.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then we end up, and then she ends up coming to the US for a visit. We end up meeting and, talking about this. And to be honest, like, it was personally when I met her and I heard her story and what she was doing. And in your Pasalan, maybe someone you can also connect with, but it was so inspirational to me. And then I told her, I said, hey, look, this is how God brings people together. When I listened to you in GLS, Willow Creek's GLS, a few years
Yeah.
ago, I wished I could meet you. And
Mhm.
I had fast forward a few years later, I didn't know that someone in my family knew you, right?
Mhm.
So it's such a small world. And anyway, so I have been supporting this non-for-profit, I would say financially and in prayer.
Yeah.
That's the way I can support. But this is something that's really important for me, as an ambassador for their non-for-profit. It's really important to spread the word about what they're doing, especially in India. Indian culture is a very male-dominated culture. If things
Mhm.
are changing, of course, things have been changing for a while,
Mhm.
but things are changing, but still we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important, for such organizations,
Yeah.
uh, you know, um, who are advocating for women's rights and protection of children who,
Yeah.
at a very young age, are sold into sex slavery. Right? I mean, it's when you hear their story, it's so painful. And
Yeah.
so yeah. So that's definitely, Justice and Hope. Is the non-for-profit. Google them and connect with them. They're based out of Chennai, India, and the mission that they're working
Mhm.
is great, and the people who are leading that organization are great. They're former IJM members, so international. Pranita actually used to work for International Justice Mission, so they're former IJM
Yeah, I know
members. So,
IGM very well. I
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
The former, though, or I should say, the ex IJM employees. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Also, so you also helping some another organization by another leading light person here. Your Agila, right?
So I don't know if Ayo is listening to this, but shout out to my friend Ayo, who I met actually at the Leading Lights training. Can you believe it? And
Mhm.
at that time, and I'm so proud of her because at that time, we were on the same table, and her mission statement was to start Agila. And
Yeah.
we remember talking about it, and we remember talking about some of the challenges that we were having in corporate
Mhm.
America as being women of color, and our
Mhm.
voices not being heard or being undermined.
Mhm.
And her mission was to create Agila. And
Mhm.
now looking 3 years later, I'm so proud of her because
Yeah.
her mission, she has brought it to fruition.
Yes. We're
Um,
about to actually we're having a meeting with her. I'm having a meeting with her with the LDC team in about a few hours. We're actually planning a partnership between the Leading Light and Agila to take Leading Lights training to the corporate world. Yeah. So,
so that's fantastic. By the way, I don't know if Ayo mentioned, I had mentioned to her, so we had discussed this idea. So I don't know if she
yeah, she
mentioned.
mentioned it. She mentioned it. Yeah, she mentioned
Yeah.
it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's fantastic to see. So yeah, so I'm on the board for Agila Foundation. Thanks to Ayo, I'm on the advisory board for asking me to join her organization. So it's been great. I mean, as you know, I come from a STEM background, and also, Ayo and I share the same, one of our same passions of increasing gender equity, especially for young girls and for women. So I think that's really where, how God brings people with the same mission together in his own creative fashion. So
Awesome. So let's round up now. I wanted you to talk about your journey to motherhood. I know, somebody is watching that needs to hear that. You had some tough times, but God brought you through, as
Sure,
comfortable as you are, share.
sure. So, this is something that I don't openly share about, but I should, because I think there's definitely God's hand in this, and no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm a proud mom of a daughter who's almost 2 years old. But that was a long journey. Um, my husband and I were married for over 9 years. Actually, when Naomi was born. So, my God, it's a really long time. But so it was a really long time. It took a while for us to have our first child. Initially, we both were focused on our careers and growing our careers and traveling the world. And, there were those priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And I still remember there was a time, like the challenge with, and I don't know if it's Indian parents or all parents, but first they tell you, you got to get married, you got to get married, you got to get married, and then
Mm-hmm.
once you get married, they're like, when is the first kid gonna be born?
Yep,
When is
yep,
it?
yeah.
Did you have a baby yet?
They
Right?
want their grandchild.
Exactly. It's like so. So it's like so first it was like, oh, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? Then it's like, oh, when are you having a baby? And
Mm-hmm.
my husband and I both were like, this is definitely not our priority right now. And if it happens, it happens, and it's it
Mm-hmm.
is. It's part of the journey. But unfortunately, we didn't realize how long the journey would be and how hard the journey would be. And initially we sort of ignored the fact, and we just continued on with our professional lives, and and to be honest, and we enjoyed our married life. We had a lot of freedom during the weekends to go out and travel wherever we wanted, whenever we wanted. But I think it came to a point where I was tired of the um, societal nagging, to be honest, is my to be a very direct terminology to
Mm-hmm.
use, where I got tired of it. And it wasn't that we didn't want to have a child, but it
Mm-hmm.
was super hard for me to have a child. So we had a lot of people praying for us,
Mm-hmm.
and then finally, I actually had to go through an IVF process, a fertility treatment, to conceive Naomi, right? And I think that journey itself was really hard, because for people who don't know, it's a very painful process. So, and it's not that I'm sitting at home, I'm working full time, I have a career going, and I have some volunteer stuff going. And while this whole thing is going on, and especially during those time at work was very hard because of certain other things that were going on.
Mm-hmm.
But God has been faithful. There were a lot of people praying for us,
Mm-hmm.
but God has been faithful, and He blessed us with the child. And for me, fortunately, it was the first attempt itself. I was blessed, but it's something that initially I never wanted to talk about it, because I felt like it was very much, it made me very vulnerable and exposed. But I
Yeah.
feel it's really important for women to hear, because when I was in my IVF journey, and when I started talking to some of my very close friends who were about my same age
Mm-hmm.
and didn't have children, I realized they had gone through that journey. So, well, some of them were
Yeah.
going through that journey,
Yeah.
and some of them, and I don't want to say a name on
Yeah.
this call, but it's actually one
Mm-hmm.
of the former City Light and Leading Light members, who God
Mm-hmm.
had made them come to my house a year before we
Mm-hmm.
decided to start the IVF journey. When they came to my house, and this person, based on who he is, again, his direct approach, started asking me questions to the point that it was bothering me. Then finally I said, okay, why don't you tell me what I
Mm-hmm.
should do, and I'll do it. And then he and she shared their story,
Mm-hmm.
and that was inspirational to me, because when they shared their story, and to me, I realized how easy it is.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't say easy it is. It was one of those things where you felt, if they could do it, I
Yeah.
could do it. And that sort of helped me, pursue that journey. And it was definitely God's plan, because my husband and I had talked about it, but personally for me, I was even open to adoption because I have a soft side for kids who don't have parents.
Yeah.
So I was even open to adoption, but the adopting for US citizens to adopt from abroad is so hard
Yeah.
just because of the complexity of adoption.
Yeah.
It was just something that, we had even talked about it.
Hmm.
But we even started the process, but then we had to put it on hold due to some reasons. But that's when this couple came into our lives and shared their story,
Yeah.
and then we decided to pursue that journey, and and I'm so glad we did it.
Yeah.
So looking back, it was just a God's way of sending these messengers to tell us this. And
Yeah.
if someone on this call is also thinking that, I would say, you will be surprised how strong God has made women. Like, I am so shocked by it. Like, what you can what women can bear. I don't know if men can really bear
No,
that
they
much.
cannot. I'm telling you, when I saw my wife give birth 3 times, I mean, I was like, I got to worship you because we can't handle that. We can't handle
Yes,
that.
yes.
We're not built for
And exactly. And the other thing also, Pascal, and I think, this is something I was recently sharing with a friend of mine who's going through this journey now. And, I shared my story with her, and then now she decided to pursue. Because the thing is, it's always this thing in your mind, because there's this feeling that it's super tough and it's super crazy. And should you do it? The thing is, when you start that journey and when you go to the clinic,
it. Yeah.
the number you'll be at least in the US. I don't know how it's in other parts of the world. In the US, I was shocked by the number of young women I found, and I have we were trying to figure out certain reasons why it could be, but I was truly shocked. But I felt a level of comfort in knowing that I was not the person alone in the journey.
Yeah.
There were others who were going through a similar path. So
Yeah. I mean, the lesson I take from what you just talked about is, being vulnerable enough to share what you're going through, because you don't even know if the person that you are talking to is going through the same. So one of the things I've seen is that people don't want to talk about it, even when they are going through the IVF process. People keep it to
mhm,
themselves and all that. Sometimes
yes,
I know someone or a couple that is going through it, and then I know another couple that is going through it,
yes,
but this couple doesn't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk. They don't want to share with one another.
yes,
So sometimes I would just get some people that are able to share, like what you talked about, people that came to share with you. And that always sparks something better, because I know a lot of people are going through it. And it's one of the ways, it's God's wisdom, right? It's God that provided the wisdom, and beautiful children, are born, from, like, it's just one of the processes of bringing forth God's wonderful children into this earth. So I'm glad that those
yes.
people shared with you, and that you are now sharing with other people too, because I know people that I would say, what, why don't you talk to that person? Because that person went through it, but I have to get permission from them. I'm like,
Yes, yes,
can I tell somebody, and all that? There's nothing shameful, nothing. It's one of the ways, like, that God does it. Yeah. Hmm.
so Pascal, I have to move a little bit because my battery is running a bit low. Give
Oh
me
no, we're about
one
to
second
end.
here.
Actually, don't worry, we're about to end. My
Oh,
last,
okay, okay.
very, very, very last question for you to round it all up. For the people watching, if you were going to tell them, okay, looking at the story of my life, where I have been, here are 3 to 5 things that I would like you to know that can improve your life. Maybe some principles that your life is built on. What will you tell them?
Yeah, so so the principles I would say is so in my opinion, I know that life is not perfect. At least this is what I've experienced. It's not always been rosy. I believe there's seasons in life,
Mm-hmm.
and the seasons in life are there for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important while you're going through the season in life, whether whether it's good or bad, whether it's a successful season or a wrong down season, to know that God is always under control, and he knows what he's doing. And this is a faith, and to be honest, this is completely faith, because I have seen people around me who are not even children of God super succeed, and I sometimes wonder, where is my father, where's my God, why is this happening, right? Because but the fact of the matter is, success is different for different people, and I
Yeah.
think that is something that's really important to know. And how you define success is different. So that's one thing I will say, is being resilient and knowing that it's a season and it will come to an end. And if it's a great season, just
Mm-hmm.
wish it doesn't end. So that's one thing. The other thing is like the other thing. So being resilient is something that's something I do, encourage people uh, to be and become. The number two, this is something that's really core to me. Um, Learn to speak up, because so this is something I learned actually from a teacher when I was young,
Mm-hmm.
is um, if you see, and it's actually a Bible verse as well, right? I mean, if you see injustice happen, learn to speak up, because you might be the only voice in that room
Yeah.
that has the courage to speak up. And this is something I see time and time again. I even see in very strong men and women who normally are strong, and very successful in their careers. They might be leading, they might be VPs, but they just give it a blind eye, because in their perspective, it's not impacting them.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is, there's a difference between right and wrong. And if something is wrong and you see it happening, it's really important for you to speak up and advocate for the person who has been impacted, or the situation that's been impacted. That's number two.
Yeah.
So these are, and the third thing is, I do believe in hard work. So I do believe, it's important. I mean, maybe it's a cultural thing, or it's important for us to work hard and do our best in whatever we are doing, right? So whether it is school, if you're a student, if you're an employee in corporate America, or you're a healthcare professional, do the best you can,
Yeah.
and work hard, because there's definitely, God willingly, a fruit at the end. So this is another value that I believe in. And the last thing I believe, which is something I value a lot, is um, make sure you give back in whatever capacity, right? Whether it's generosity is really what I mean, like whether it's financially, or with time, or by giving people advice,
Mm-hmm.
in whatever capacity you can give back or help people. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
you do that. Make sure you open doors for others. Make sure you
Yeah.
reach out. That's something that's really important, because kindness and generosity goes long way. And I will say that I have been I have God has been good to me in many ways, and He's been very generous to me in many ways. So I think this is something that's important. Whatever way He's been generous to you, make sure you give back to your
Yeah.
society, to your families, make an impact. So that's really what a few words I wanted to share.
Thank you so much, Betsy. This has been fun and it's been substantial. You shared a lot, starting from diversity to your journey of faith. The time you went through, how you were able to, stabilize yourself in your faith in Christ, your journey of purpose, to your passions, and about women, speaking for women, speaking for children, what you do to technology, to your story, becoming a mother. Somebody listening has connected to what you shared. And I know that, just like I keep hearing stories of people who watched. For example, I got a message yesterday, somebody who wants us to come to Germany to come and do Leading Light, because they were watching this Light 360, and they
Mm-hmm.
were, wow, I need to do this and all that. So thank you so much, so much, for sharing your stories and being vulnerable. You've been a blessing, and I believe that our viewers, really appreciate you for taking the time out and for sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pastor. And I just want to let you know, you and Pastor D has been a blessing to me as well. So thank you so much, and thank you for your prayers, and that's really helped us in our journey. So thank you.
Thank you. So I should call you Betsy Raju now, not Betsy. I use Betsy, Betsy Raju, because you are the one that paid the dowry.
The one who refused to pay it.
I'm going to tell Tim, he needs to reclaim that. Give you $1 million,
But there's no price to. That's exactly. I'm priceless. Is the point that I was trying to.
Down payment, just.
Pastor Lad, you're funny.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we're going to be rounding up with this for this week. It's been a wonderful week. It's been a wonderful day. So you guys, next week I'm going to be coming with 4 amazing individuals again that will be sharing their story. We appreciate you for joining us, and Betsy and I want to say bye-bye to you guys.
Yep. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So we will be ending and signing off right now.